All right, friends, welcome back. Today we're going to work on stretching out and releasing the lower back and the muscles surrounding the lower back connected to it. So we'll get into the sides of the low back, into the QL area, a little bit into the psoas and the hamstrings, which all, when kind of tight or tense, can cause the lower back pain and tension. That's where we will be today. If you have 2 blocks and a ball, grab those. Not required. I'll show you some other options that don't use any props. But if you have those, grab them. Instead of blocks, you could also use a couple of pillows. Okay. Let's start in child's pose today. All right, knees out wide, hips towards your heels. We're just going to walk the fingertips forward, drop the chest down, head down. And as you settle into this shape, we're going to come right into the breath here. So when you take your breath in, I want you to think about pressing the belly out and down towards your mat. And then as you take your breath out, drawing the belly in towards the spine and breathing into the back side of your body. So we'll cue that together for us a few times. Take a breath in, press the belly out, let the chest maybe come down a little further. And then take your breath out, draw the belly back in, breathing into the backside. Again, breath in. And breath out. Slowly breathing in. And breathing out. Let's do 2 more together. Take a breath in. Breath out, draw the belly in. One more. Big breath in, press the belly away. And breath out. All right, from here, maybe lift up just enough so you can walk the hand to the right side of your mat. And then return your head and chest back down. Bring the left hand on top of the right. And see if you can reach a little bit through the left fingertips. They might extend past the right hand. As you draw the left hip down and back. So keeping the hips right where they're at, facing forward, squared off towards the top of your mat. And then can you come back to that breath where you're breathing in, pressing the belly out. And then breathing out, drawing the belly in. And focus the breath maybe on moving towards the back left side of your body. So into that kidney area, a little bit into our QL here. And then after you take a few really focused breaths, can you settle in, find some stillness? If it helps to stay focused on that breath, you can continue with that. And we'll hold here for about another minute. Okay, slowly lift up. We're gonna walk it back over towards center and then all the way to the other side, to the left. Take your time, settle the hips back down, the head, chest back down. Okay, this time reaching through the right arm. Pulling the right hip down and back. Feel the right side of the body expanding and lengthening. And come back to that deep belly breathing. At least for a few rounds here, you focus the breath in. Returning to awareness of the breath. And sending the breath into areas that you feel are stretching here. Hold about a minute. Take one last breath here. All right, come back to center. Just reach forward, take one last stretch forward. And then lift the hips. Bring the chest forward as you transition into tabletop. So hands and knees. Bringing the knees in a little bit closer together, about the width of your hips. Okay, and then we're going to find some cat-cows here. But when you find your cat, so when we come into this rounding of the spine, I want you to lean back a little bit. So not all the way hips to heels, just a little bit. You can keep the arms straight. Okay, so come back to tabletop. Take a breath in. Again, letting the belly drop towards the mat as you lift the chest. For your cat pose, round the spine, and as you round, just kind of press back a little bit. And then drop the belly, lift the chest, come forward. And exhale, round, press slightly back. 2 more. Inhale, cow pose. Exhale, cat. Inhale. And come back through your cow pose one last time. Lift up. And then come back to a neutral back. From here, we're going to crawl out onto the belly and come onto the forearms for Sphinx pose. Legs stay long behind you. Forearms parallel and elbows slightly in front of the shoulders. Chest stays lifted. And we hold our shape here. You can relax the shoulders a little bit if you'd like. And then our goal here is to let the lower body be soft. So relaxing the glutes. Notice if you're squeezing. Letting the hamstring, the tops of the legs maybe fall a little bit. Find softness in the knees. Let the feet, the toes be still. As best you can, the upper spine, so the neck stays neutral, nice and long here. Let the belly, the abdominal muscles also be soft. Again, you're welcome to focus on the breath. This is a great place to really tune into that, especially with the stomach lying on the ground. As you breathe in and you press the belly away, really feeling that connection of the body with the ground, the body to the breath. You're just going to take about 5 more breaths here. Is there a final place you can soften into a little bit more? Okay, one last breath in. One breath out. And then bring the elbows out wide, palms to touch. Just drop the head down to the mat on top of the hands. And just lay flat here. And then bend the knees. And we're going to swing the legs left to right, finding our windshield wiper legs. So just rocking from left hip to right hip. Resetting everything through the low back here. Okay, and then come to stillness. Take one more breath. Okay, and then go ahead and press back. Come back through tabletop and just sit back on the knees for a moment. Find a breath here. All right. And then we're going to come on to our seat. Swing the legs out in front of you. All right, I'm going to show you guys a myofascial release technique for the hamstrings, which when really tight can cause some low back pain. So grab a block and a ball. You could also just use a ball. I really enjoy using the block though. It gives me a little bit of height. You're going to slide. Let's start on the right. Slide the block under your right thigh. Place the ball on the block, kind of towards the edge here. And then you're going to rest your leg across the ball and the block. I'm going to start right in the middle of my thigh. And as we get into this, you can play around a little bit with the exact placement. But you're looking for an area that maybe feels a little bit tender or really tense. And that's where we want to be here. So all we're going to do is you're going to relax your right leg as much as possible. And then you're going to lean forward so that you're putting just a little bit of pressure or weight onto the right leg. And then the heaviness of the leg connects with the ball, and that ball kind of digs into your thigh here or your hamstring. Okay, and we hold this. If you don't have the block or ball, stay where you're at if you're doing the ball. We're just going to do a hamstring stretch. So you'll straighten the right leg, bend the left knee, and then fold forward over your right leg. Okay? All right. Choosing where you want to be. And then if you're using the ball with me today, you have the option to stay still. If you would like to explore a little bit of a different sensation, you're going to keep your right heel down on the mat. So the heel's not going to move. And you're going to rotate the leg and the foot from left to right. You're still leaning slightly forward to put some pressure on where that ball is. These probably weren't the best pants to wear, so I hope you can see that. Okay, just about 30 seconds here. Maybe find one more spot further up the leg. Oh, yeah. Okay. If you're using the ball, go ahead and release this. If you're in your stretch, stay in your stretch. And then we're all going to extend our right leg long and fold over the right leg. Left knee is bent. 5, breaths here. Okay. And then come back up. We're going to switch sides right away. So if you're just coming straight into the stretch, left leg long, bend the right leg, sole of the right foot inside the left thigh. I'm going to turn around just so you guys can see a little better. And then if you're using the ball in your block or just the ball today, I'll do this one with just the ball so you can see a different option. You're just going to slide the ball under your left leg. And again, you're just looking for an area that might feel kind of tender. So you can start in the middle if you'd like. Maybe start to work your way up a little closer to the glute. Maybe a little to the if you choose. Okay, and then you're just going to lean forward a little bit. So you're putting a little bit of weight onto the ball. Hold here a few breaths. And then if you want to stay still, if you'd like to try, I call it shearing, that shearing technique, you can keep your left heel on the mat and then just start to roll your foot and your leg from left to right. And you're still leaning slightly forward, so you're putting some weight on that ball. So what this does is you're pinning down the muscle, pinning down the hamstring, and then allowing that muscle to kind of roll back and forth over the ball. Similar to foam rolling, except in foam rolling, most people just glide the hamstring across the top. So this is a little bit more targeted. Get a little bit deeper into that connective tissue here. Okay, go ahead and release that wherever you're at. If you're in your stretch, keep hanging out there. If you're releasing the ball, switch to your stretch. Left leg long, and then just hold over the left leg. That feels so good. 5 breaths here. So sometimes the myofascial release can be an instant release to help us move a little bit further into a stretch. So it's increasing our range of motion temporarily. That's why a stretch afterwards can feel really good. All right, come back up. You can have the ball and your block setting to the side. And then we're gonna come to our backs. Okay. All right. From here, place the feet on the mat, knees bent. Just pause. Okay. And then lift the hips. You're either going to slide your block underneath your hips or the few pillows that you grabbed. place the hips back down on the mat. If you're using a block, I'm going to have you be on the lowest height. We're going to work into the psoas, which runs across your hip crease here and connects to your lower spine. So again, this is an area that is related. When tight, it can put a lot of pressure or tension on the low back. So we're going to stretch that out a little bit. Okay. So draw the right knee in to the chest. Lengthen out the left leg and let the left heel relax on the mat. The leg to your left might fall open a little bit. And keep pulling gently on the right knee. Let the upper body relax. And just notice that gentle pull of the tissue across the left hip crease. Won't be here super long. Notice if you've started to tense up anywhere, especially through the hip. Just letting the hips be heavy, letting the block or your pillows support you in this shape. We have one more breath here. All right, and then we swap it out. Left knee into the chest. Extend your right leg long. Moving slowly through the transition, through that space in between the poses. Okay, relax the right leg. Reach through the right heel as you gently draw the left knee into your chest and drop into that right hip crease, exploring the length there, the release there, allowing the hip to be heavy. And pause. Just a few more breaths. All right, let go of that left leg. We're going to lengthen out the left leg this time. Reach both arms over your head. Take a nice big full body stretch. All right, bring the arms back down. Plant the feet, lift the hips. Slide your props away. Set that aside. Okay. And then we're going to come into one final shape for the sides of the low back in our side body. This is our banana pose or Vanasana. All right, to come into this, laying flat, bring the legs wide into a straddle. And then right ankle will cross over the left ankle. Your feet should be at the bottom left corner of your mat. Bring the arms up overhead, grab for either opposite wrists or elbows, and then lean over to the left. You might have to pick yourself up a little bit and shimmy. So you're taking a side bend to the left, creating a banana shape with the body. Okay, now the key here is to let the lower body relax, especially that right leg. And then for our purposes here today, can you bring your awareness into the low back? Specifically, the left and right sides. Maybe noticing a little bit of compression in that left side of the low back and a little bit of expansion or opening into the right side. You can focus on one or both of those areas as you breathe and find stillness here for a couple minutes. And don't forget about the arms here. Can you let them be heavy, relaxed? Another thing I'll mention is if the hands don't quite come to the ground behind you, you can always place a block behind you or a pillow just to rest the hands on. We want the body to be fully supported and grounded here. Minimal effort. One last breath here. All right, arms back down. Shimmy the upper body back to center. Uncross the right leg. Okay, and then bend the knees for a moment. Actually, hug the knees into the chest. Yeah, that feels right. Okay, give yourself a little squeeze here. Maybe a little rock left to right. Bring the feet back down to mat. And we'll switch sides. So again, legs long, feet spread apart. And then cross your left ankle over the right this time. So the feet should be in the bottom right corner of your mat. Bring the arms up overhead, grab opposite wrist, and then side bend all the way to the right. As much as you feel like you need today. Might be different left, especially with the back. I tend to find that lower back pain often exists in one side or the other for various reasons. Again, we've explored how tightness in the hamstrings or psoas can affect that. Okay, so you might only have, or one side might be tighter than the other. So that's where we find different ailments and pains left to right sometimes. Check in with the legs. Is that nice? Or is that left leg nice and relaxed? Can you settle into the stillness just for another minute or so here? One more breath here. Okay, nice and slowly uncross the legs. Come back to center. Okay, let's hug the knees in again to the chest. Wrap the arms either around the shins or under the knees. Give yourself a little squeeze and find a rock left turn. As you rock left turn, think about pressing the low back into the mat and finding a little massage for the sacrum and the low spine, lumbar spine. Okay. And then from here, We're just going to lengthen the legs out and work our way into Shavasana. Arms by the side. Let the full body relax and be still here. From here, I invite you to be still as long as you need, as long as you have time for today. Reminder to gift yourself a little bit of time just to lie down, be still, do nothing. Our body, our minds also need that type of recovery. Whenever you're ready, move slowly and gently out of Shavasana. I'll leave you to enjoy on your own. Thank you for sharing this practice with me today. Namaste.